What are the biggest challenges in running a museum?
We're a museum of modern and contemporary art, so we need to present art that is the art of today, art that is absolutely cutting edge, and the competition is fierce. If you place an object in a museum, for instance, if we took your bag and placed it here, would that make it art?
Okay.
Hi, welcome to What the Flick. It is award season-ish time, so we're getting some more interesting films like the one we are about to discuss, The Square. I am Christy, that is Alonzo. This is the latest from Swedish filmmaker Ruben Östlund, who did Force Majeure, which was great.
Yes, so if you liked Force Majeure and that brand of squirmy humor, does Ruben Östlund have a movie for you? It's about Christian, who is a sort of semi-celebrity museum curator, and they're presenting a new piece called The Square, and it's all about how within this space, everyone has equal rights and responsibilities, and it's about being compassionate and taking care of the less fortunate. And this whole movie is about what happens when you actually try to put that into practice or realize that you aren't putting that into practice. Take a look.
How often would you say that you take women that you don't know very well and have sex with them? You know their names?
Yeah.
So what's my name?
The Square er en frizone, hvor tillid og omsorg råder. I den har vi alle lige rettigheder og forpligtelser.
Yeah, this movie's
Wait, numbers.
Oh yeah, we gotta do numbers.
This is Matt's big idea. We have to do this.
Wants us to do numbers first.
Yes.
See how it goes.
And we didn't on the other two,
totally
so
spaced
sorry
it.
about that.
We don't take direction very well. Okay, so what's your number?
I'm a 7.5.
Yeah, I'd say 8. I'd say 8. I don't love this the way I love Force Majeure.
Ditto.
And it's a tough thing to follow up. So our number is 7.8.
Yeah.
And it is somewhere on Tomato Meter, I'll tell you eventually. But yeah, so it explores uncomfortable truths, like Force Majeure did, and it's sort of a scathing indictment of like trying to be altruistic and good to people, like, and how that is not necessarily the best idea.
Well, I think it's about maybe trying to be altruistic at a distance. You know, it's sort of like the idea of like, well, you know, I'll give some money to this person or I'll whatever, and then I'm done. You know, and so this is sort of the idea of what happens when it becomes more complicated and you have to maybe give of yourself. That's not just about like whatever change you have in your pocket or whatever.
But from the very beginning, though, there's a scene where he and a stranger on the street try to help a young woman who was screaming, help, help, help. And like that bites him in the ass.
Exactly.
So from the very beginning, you're like, why help others?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And then he just kind of digs deeper and deeper. I've heard this movie compared to an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's a great,
which is totally valid because it's just about this guy who just digs himself in deeper and deeper and things get worse and worse. And you're just going, oh no, don't do that, don't say that, you know. And I liked that a lot. Yeah, but I don't think this quite reaches the heights of that sort of thing that they do in Force Majeure. But there are some amazing like individual sequences here, like the scenes with the kid who's mad. Are amazing.
Yes, he's really good. He's not precocious at all.
Yeah,
he's scary.
He's
this
just
kid.
pissed off.
Yeah, Elizabeth Moss and her pet.
Yes.
Why is that her pet?
Well,
I love. They never explain it.
Yeah, you have the pet, and then you have the human being who behaves like that later, which is like that's a very distributing scene.
That makes you hold your breath because
with
again,
Terry Notary.
all these moments are like, what would you do in that situation?
Sure.
Right? Like, would you go along with it? Would you fight back? Would you stand up? Would you try to help somebody?
Would you walk away?
Right? And the movie comes to the conclusion like, there's not really a good answer. There's not really a right answer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. I think because this isn't the movie that's sort of like out to make you feel guilty about what you do or don't do for the less fortunate. It's more a movie that kind of makes you feel like there's no easy answers here, and you could do what's supposed to be the right thing and it's still totally wrong, and vice versa. And the best we can do is sort of figure this out on a case-by-case basis. Maybe I'm not even entirely sure what the point of this is.
I think the point is to make us have the conversation, right?
Yeah, okay,
what would you do in that situation? There's also this totally cringe-inducing news conference that he has to undergo, where it just it goes off the rails quickly. It never recovers, and you can imagine how that is what would happen.
Right, and it's also it's one of those, again, a situation where there's a no-win situation. Like every answer is wrong, and there's always going to be somebody in the room to object to one of the things you just said, whatever it is.
Yeah. Also, the idea that these are supposed to be enlightened, intellectual people, liberal people, good-hearted people who think that they would always rise to the occasion when called upon to do so, and they don't.
and really I think kind of subtly calls out, I don't know the mechanics of Swedish racism, but there's definitely some discussions about black hair or blonde hair, and black people who live in Sweden, and do they speak Swedish correctly? There's a lot of
inherent racism, discrimination.
Yeah, there's some interesting underpinnings to that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, and the PR campaign. You can totally imagine that happening. So all I say is that all of these situations that seem really extreme and they push you to the edges of your ability to sit through them and be comfortable, they're really not all that far off from what you can imagine might go down in the situation.
This is, like Mother, I think a movie that's worth seeing for the conversation you're going to have afterwards.
Yeah, it's a little long and a little slow. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's pushing 2.5.
Yeah, I'm not sure it needs to be all that.
And just to be clear, to quote Roger Ebert, no good movie is too long, no bad movie is short enough. So if we say something is too long, it's not like, oh, we can't handle a 2.5 hour movie. It's just that some movies don't need to be 2.5 hours long.
Yes, this does not.
I think,
So I can't recall what our numbers were.
I said 7.5 and you said
8.
You stick with that?
I don't know. I guess so.
Okay.
It will appear down there somewhere. So 7.9, and it is, I don't know where it is in the tomato meter. It's high. People like it. It's strange. If you want strange and uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I mean, see it with people that you can have good chats with afterwards.
Bye.